Welcome to the AI Brief from the YPO Technology Network. I'm Stephen Forte. On today's episode, a $965 billion AI lab caught quietly degrading its own product and apologizing within 24 hours. OpenAI buying its AI agents their own office building while loading a price war, and Jeff Bezos raising $12 billion to automate the engineering department itself. And one more thing, I'm going to take back something I told you 5 weeks ago on air because the data changed. By the end, you will know exactly what changed and what I do about it now. Start with the trust story because everything else today hangs off it. If you caught Thursday's episode on Claude Fable 5, Anthropic's first broadly available Mythos-class model, the Frontier family the company spent months warning was too dangerous to release. You heard me flag a strange detail buried in the documentation. Today is the sequel, and it moved fast. Quick orientation for anyone joining late. Anthropic is the AI lab behind Claude, currently in confidential registration for an IPO at a reported $965 billion valuation. When a lab ships a model, it publishes a system card in the technical disclosure document that travels with the release. Think of it as a prospectus, but for behavior, Fable 5's runs 319 pages. On one of those pages, researchers, including Simon Willison, an independent AI researcher with a habit of actually reading these documents, found the following: Fable 5 shipped with safeguards that silently degraded its responses to queries Anthropic classified as distillation attempts, competitors trying to train their own models on Fable's answers, which is reverse engineering by questionnaire. The methods included rewriting prompts and adjusting the model's internals, different ways of changing the answer without changing the question. And the system card stated in writing that these safeguards will not be visible to the user. Anthropic estimated the intervention touched roughly 0.03% of traffic, a small number. But with invisible interventions, the percentage is not the problem. The precedent is if a vendor can silently degrade output for one category of query it dislikes, the only thing standing between you and category 2 is the vendor's judgment. That is not a control. That is a mood. Now, you might think this is an inside baseball spat between AI labs about who gets to copy whose homework. It is not, and here is why it matters to you. Specifically, your teams are putting these models into underwriting, contract review, customer communication. If a supplier quietly shipped you a different alloy on certain orders and never noted it on the spec sheet, you would not care that it was 0.03% of orders. You would care that the spec sheet lied by omission. The backlash, Wired, Fortune, The Verge, landed within a day. And then something genuinely unusual happened. Anthropic apologized within roughly 24 hours, called it the wrong trade-off in plain language, and reversed. Distillation-flagged queries now fall back to Claude Opus 4.8, the prior flagship, and the user is told. Their exact words, "You will see this every time it happens." Give them credit for that sentence. A disclosure commitment with teeth made at speed in public during the quiet period before an IPO. When every corporate instinct says say nothing, most vendors would have patched it in a changelog and hoped. That is a rare thing, and I mean it. One housekeeping note in the spirit of the story. Fable 5, the model under discussion, helped me draft this script, an arrangement I approved on Friday's episode. Consider this your notification. You will hear it every time it happens. The garnish on all of this, Anthropic is simultaneously in federal court with the Pentagon fighting for the right to keep safety guardrails in for defense work. The same company litigating to keep guardrails in got caught hiding one. The legal briefs write themselves. Meanwhile, Microsoft, OpenAI's largest backer, has reportedly restricted employee use of Fable 5 over data retention concerns, caution, or convenience. In IPO season, it can be both. Here is my read. The issue was never the safeguard. Protecting your model from distillation is a legitimate business decision the same way you protect a formula or a process. The issue is invisibility, a behavior change applied to your workloads without your knowledge. Disclosed only in the sense that page 200-something of a 319-page document admitted you would never see it. If I were sitting in your seat this quarter, I'd do one thing, and it costs nothing. Treat the system card as a document your general counsel or you actually reads, not a PDF that dies in a procurement folder. Anthropic disclosed this on paper. The buyers who got the reversal were the ones who read it. The safeguard was defensible. The invisibility was the defect. Disclosure was the patch. Now hold on to the speed of that reversal. 24 hours from exposure to apology. Because the next story runs on the same clock. And it is about to cost me a position I took on this show 5 weeks ago. OpenAI made 2 moves this week. The first, it agreed to acquire Ona, a startup that builds secure cloud execution environments, sandboxes where AI agents run long, asynchronous tasks on their own infrastructure, independent of anyone's machine. The pitch for Codex, OpenAI's coding agent, says it plainly. It keeps working with your laptop closed. Sam Altman confirmed on X with really looking forward to working together, which is the M&A equivalent of a firm handshake. Here is the shift in plain terms. Until now, the AI assistant worked at your employee's desk on your employee's computer while your employee watched. Ona gives the agent its own office with a locked door and a night shift. The work continues after everyone goes home, which means the executive question quietly changed from which co-pilot do we buy to what work do we delegate and how do we supervise it. That is a delegation question. You already know how to ask it. You have just never asked it about software. Move 2, same weeks, and this is where I owe you a correction. On May 5th, episode 54, inference got cheap. Renegotiate everything. I told you that every multi-year AI contract signed before May 2026 was priced under old inference economics, and that it was time to get to the table and put ink on better terms while these vendors courted the public markets. 5 weeks later, I've changed my mind, not softened it, changed it. Here is why. Per the Wall Street Journal, picked up by CNBC on Thursday, OpenAI is weighing drastic cuts to enterprise token prices. The per-unit metering you pay for model usage, preempting expected cuts from Anthropic. Nothing formally announced, but look at the board. Anthropic's late May Series H valued it at $965 billion. OpenAI's March round came in at $852 billion. Both are moving toward public listings. 2 companies valued like nation states, pricing like grocery stores in a market share war, and one of them just reversed a flagship model's behavior inside 24 hours under public pressure. In May, renegotiating made sense. The prices were stale and the leverage was yours. In June, the smarter move is to not sign anything long at all when a price war is forming and vendor behavior can flip inside a news cycle. Ink is a liability. If I were sitting in your seat, I'd wait, run month to month or quarter to quarter where you can, and let the war come to you. The unit economics on the exact same workloads may improve materially within quarters, and a 3-year lock signed in June 2026 could be the most expensive signature of your year. The advice from May had a 5-week shelf life. That shelf life is the actual story. When the data changes, the position changes. That is what operators owe each other, and it is what I owe you. The ground under all of us is now moving fast enough that the half-life of good advice is measured in weeks. Plan accordingly. And if the ground is moving that fast under software, follow the capital to see where it moves next, because the biggest number of the day says the frontier just left the office and walked onto the factory floor. Prometheus emerged from stealth Thursday with a $12 billion Series B at a roughly $41 billion valuation on top of a $6.2 billion Series A late last year. Co-CEOs, Jeff Bezos in his first CEO role since leaving Amazon in 2021, and Vik Bajaj, co-founder of Verily, Google's life sciences unit. Investors, JPMorgan, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, DST Global, and Arch Venture Partners. About 150 employees across San Francisco, London, and Zurich, with a large portion of the capital going to compute. That works out to roughly $80 million per employee, most of it going to machines that do not take a salary. The mission is an artificial general engineer, AI that automates the path from design to manufacturing for physical systems. Jet engines, skyscrapers, drug compounds, Bezos' framing, something that today was going to take 100 engineers 10 years to build. If you can change that to taking 10 engineers 1 year to build, you're just going to get way more things built. He did not say what happens to the other 90. There's a second act, not yet public. A Berkshire Hathaway-style portfolio, raising funds to acquire industrial companies and rebuild them around Prometheus's models. Picture a $250 million precision parts manufacturer in Cleveland. For 3 years, the AI conversation at that company has been about back-office knowledge work, contracts, invoices, customer emails. The factory floor felt safe. Prometheus is $18.2 billion of evidence that the capital has stopped agreeing. And note who wrote the checks. JPMorgan, Goldman, and BlackRock do not show up at a Series B for the vibes. They are positioning for the industrial side of AI, and the second act means some industrial companies will not be Prometheus customers. They will be Prometheus acquisitions. Before I close, put the first story and the price war together, because together they are the takeaway. IPO season is reshaping both vendor trust and vendor pricing at the same time. Anthropic reversed its invisible interventions in 24 hours because buyers were watching. OpenAI is preparing to cut token prices because Anthropic is watching. Read the system card, keep the pen in your pocket. The vendors are auditioning for the public markets, and right now you are the proof point. Leverage in AI vendor relationships just shifted to buyers who pay attention. B1, that is the YPO Tech Network AI brief for Monday, June 15th. I am Stephen Forte. If this was useful, send it to a fellow member. I will be back tomorrow with more. Until then, stay sharp.